So here's, I guess where I'll begin. I started this because I worked for a franchise of a leadership development company, and there was a lot that was wonderful about it. It was a really marvelous time overall. And the marketing stuff, I still teach a lot of, but the sales stuff was this pushy, manipulative. It was the Tom Hopkins, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, and fundamentally, it was all about convincing people, coercing people, dominating people in some way. And being 18, I just did it. I just thought, well, that's what you do. This is what sales is. And I figured that my deficiency, when it wasn't working, 'cause it didn't work, was me. I just hadn't practiced enough. I wasn't smooth enough. I wasn't slick enough. I wasn't skilled enough. And of course, there's a real, you kind of feel drunk with power. I mean, I know NLP is much more, and it's really a therapeutic modality, but of course it gets brought in, and you just start to feel, oh my God, or at least I did. I just felt like this, wow, I can influence people and they don't even know it. And there's so much of this rhetoric. I just saw another ad the other day, about this, all this kind of covert ninja tactics, stealth marketing. You can hack your customer's brain, all of this terrible language. And it just felt worse and worse. And then I started getting feedback from friends, that I was coming across as fake and plastic, and it was just painful. And then I came across this fellow, Ari Galper, unlockthegame.com. And that's what really started to unlock things for me. And he was the first person who I ever heard articulate why selling felt so bad and why some marketing feels so bad. Yeah, why does it feel so bad? And this is an important question, the why does marketing feel so bad? Because if marketing feels good, there are consequences to that. And if marketing feels bad, there are consequences to that. If marketing feels good, well, let's start with bad. If it feels bad, we just don't do it. That's where that ends up. We just avoid it. It doesn't look like we're consciously avoiding it. We just end up busy with a bunch of other things, and we're not marketing or talking to people about our business. So we just end up avoiding the thing, and that's desperately bad for our business because, of course, we need to market. We need clients, but also if it feels bad to them, they avoid us, and they also tell their friends to avoid us. You've probably all had that experience where you got hard closed by somebody kind of was coercive, and it just felt really icky, and you warned friends to, no, don't do a discovery call with them. No, don't go to their workshop. No. Yeah. So it's immensely consequential just on the practical levels. And of course, if it feels good, there are consequences of that. If you can find a way to market your business, to share what you're doing that really feels good to you, you'll do it. No problem. You won't be avoiding it. And also, nobody will warn anyone away from you. In fact, they'll assuming the work is good that you do, they'll be sending people your way. So it's a big deal. And I think about marketing, there's a metaphor I came up with a couple of years ago. You see these old stone archways, yeah? And the way the archways usually work is you've got a stack of stones like this, and then they come together at the top. So this part, I totally understand. You take stones and you just stack them on each other. You make sure they're kind of flat, and you put some mortar in between them, and then they stay. Easy. This part, how? You imagine the first person trying to come up with that idea. Like, what if they just kept going? Just how do you just stack one, and then stack another, then you go to put and then this falls down, and then you have to, it's a considerable feat. And of course, this is the stonemasons figure these things out. And there's this keystone in the middle, and that one's usually shaped more like this, and that one goes there, and the other stone's and everything locks in place. So that keystone, I would say, is marketing. Yeah. But the stones that get less press, because the keystone's the most visually obvious one, it's the most impressive one. And when you really start to think about what you're looking at, it's like, oh man, that's a very important stone. This place where these two sides meet, that holds them together. But the stones that get less press are the foundation stones. So I want to submit that on either side, of course, there are these two stones. And on one side, I would call that stone sustenance. On the other side, I'd call the stone goodwill. Yeah. So sustenance and goodwill, those are the foundation stones. And when I say sustenance, I mean it feeds you, and it feeds things bigger than you. Yeah, this is the economics of it, the practicalities. Another way to say this is it works. It puts food on the table. Because it's real nice if the marketing feels good, but if it doesn't actually work, useless at the end of the day. You can't eat the feeling of moral superiority that you might feel by marketing in a more ethical way, So that's what I mean by sustenance. And then goodwill. Well, I mean relationship. Yeah. I mean, it feels good to everybody involved, and genuinely so. And what a thought that marketing could actually feel good and work. Because with what people say, right, and so where they meet, that's the marketplace. Yeah, that's where they meet. And the fact that they meet at all is our enormous good fortune as human beings. Yeah, where they meet, it's the marketplace. That they meet is outrageous good fortune on our part. To say that another way, aren't we lucky that we don't have to choose between ethics and effectiveness? I don't know, maybe the universe could have been set up some different way where, well, you just got to choose. Do you want to be ethical or do you want to be effective? And so, of course, the foundation of my work is saying not only do we not have to choose, this is where they meet. They work better together. Together, they create something that they couldn't have separately. You don't get an arch with only one foundation stone. But that archway is what we're trying to pass through today. Okay. Because people will say, but this other stuff works, right? It's effective. And that's why it's so alluring. Yes, it's sketchy, but shit, man, I went to the workshop. I saw how many people were running to the back of the room. People were signing up. This is effective. I've heard how much money these people make. But let's unpack that a little bit, because I'm a little more inside this industry than you are, probably. What you will see as the public is you'll go to a workshop and you'll see people running back and signing up for $10,000 coaching packages, $20,000 coaching packages, and you do the math and you think, boy, that's about $1 million that got made today. And that seems very impressive, of course. But then there's the next day. And the next day, and I heard this story from a friend of mine in the UK who was at one of these events. The next day, 90% of people, 90, called and asked for a refund. So that's not so impressive anymore, is it? I mean, not bad. But it's not what it looks like. So 90% of people asking for a refund means 90% of people sort of, what? Woke up from the trance. And my guess is the remaining 10% probably weren't all a great fit. And so there were probably troubles with them later on too. And that's just day 2 asking for a refund. Who knows what happens day 3, day 4. And then there's all the bad will, the ill will that generates from, well, it wasn't a fit and I asked for a refund. They said, no, you're outside of the period, and etc. So when we talk about effectiveness, it's good to make the distinction between long-term and short-term. And just gotta blow my nose. One second. Today's going to have a lot of these little nose blowing breaks. That's good. Give you time to just absorb the profundity of what's been said. You're welcome. The bonus for today. Slow down a bit. Right. So we have to make a distinction between the long game and the short game. And this is one of the big questions to ask yourself is just how long are you in this for? Because if you're in this for the next week and that's all you care about, then you could rationalize doing the sketchy stuff. Because in the short term, it does work better. I'll give them that. In the short term, this stuff is dramatically more effective. Using the false scarcity, using the fake urgency, generating social proof and the high pressure stuff. In the short term, that can work better. Why? Because some people are just so easy to coerce and some people are easy to bully and they can't say no. So short term, if that's all you care about, it does work better. But long term, the only thing that works is reputation. Yeah, that's the word of mouth at the end of the day. That's everything. It's all word of mouth at the end of the day. In the beginning in marketing, there's a lot of what I call this cold approach, where you're just approaching random people and strangers and, you run out of all your friends and family to who are willing to buy your stuff. So you start talking to strangers. And then if you keep working it and you build relationships with good connections and hubs, there's a point where, and you probably know of businesses like this, where they don't market much anymore. Maybe certain therapists, you can't get to see them. It's a 6-month waiting list. Certain restaurants, you're like 3 months until I can get a reservation here. How does this happen? Well, it happens because the reputation. It takes a while to build up to that. But if you're in it for a while, that's the whole thing. And you can't develop that kind of reputation on sketchy tactics. That's my experience and take on it. If you do those sketchy tactics, you're burning bridges all the time. So you always have to be finding new people to bring in, instead of your people becoming your kind of advocates, and they're the ones that are promoting you.